Go.
When he says they're taking an adaptive approach to responsiveness,
right,
he is being accurate, and it's not just bullshit. They are actually taking an adaptive approach to responsiveness.
Right.
Responsive design is going to be where you design it in one place and you design it so that it responds and it does it all automatically, right?
Automatically? Mm-hmm. Got it.
And so you have the same set, you have the same thing, you have the same element and all that stuff, and it, expands and contracts and, and moves in a flow and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So that's how that happens. The fact that what they're doing, and as you saw, you make it on the desktop, then you see it on the mobile,
right?
And you can adjust one or two things, or you could make it show something completely different.
True that.
That you could actually put a whole nother website on there to view if it was mobile.
Right, specifically for mobile, right? As
that
opposed
is,
to responsive.
Yes, that is adaptive design.
Right.
And that's how adaptive design is supposed to work. And adaptive design is actually the better version. Responsive design is what is the best that we can do for a lot of things that we have to do day to day, as we have to crank out things fast. Things have to be updated quickly in order to stay current with the marketplace and stuff like that. But for instance, if you actually had the ability to not make an everyday, straight to the public kind of thing that people interact with, but say you had the ability to make a showpiece website, right?
Yes.
Something that's not going to be updated, something that's just going to be, a one-time experience. Like people used to always admire movie websites for like movies, and they'd show the trailer and stuff like that. You would definitely want to use adaptive design in
versus responsive.
Responsive in that case.
Because you don't need a timeless design.
No. Well, you don't need something that's going to stay and then constantly be updated.
Right.
You need something that is going to look
really good for a couple months
and really good on every device. So you can do things, for instance, like you can have it on the web where you'd have a menu bar at the top, you'd have like a big video in the center, and you'd have like maybe like 4 columns of text or something like that. And then on the phone, you'd have no bar at the top. You'd have a menu bar that's set at the bottom. It would go straight to the video that's full there, and you'd have no text. Maybe all the text had to be
pause in the rant
in and stuff like that.
Pause in the rant.
So it's completely different, and that's what adaptive is. So for them to say that they're taking an adaptive approach to responsiveness is what they're doing. It's not bullshit. It's not just political, but at the same time, it was also political, and it's not what I think people are looking for.
No, I don't think it's what people are looking for, although I would assume their market doesn't know what they're looking for. That's one of the reasons why we look for drag and drop type systems like this.
No, they know what they're looking for because they know what their clients are asking for, and no clients are asking for adaptive design. It's not what people are looking for. It's not what people expect, and it's not the coined phrase that's out there right now. People are going to tell their clients that I need a responsive design.
Now that we've clarified what adaptive is versus responsive, I just want to pause right here and say that I am still wholeheartedly a fan of responsive over adaptive any day. And yes, it has its time in the light, like you said, like the launch of a movie, right? Or any launch for that matter that's like a short-term launch.
Adaptive design is the hands down superior method and way for things to be done.
Let me give some context.
However,
if you are a solopreneur, if you are a graphic designer...
Stop.
Okay, go.
Adaptive design is the best and proper way for things to be done.
Right.
But it's nearly impossible
if you had a team...
No, even with a team, it's nearly impossible to maintain.
Without having an enterprise level team to maintain it.
Even if you have an enterprise level team, it's nearly impossible to maintain.
Right.
When you have adaptive design, they are essentially different websites. You have to have different philosophies and different ways of doing things for them.
Right.
That is the way that the web should be done. Because, and this is another thing that people don't take into account, the fact that when people are viewing your website from different devices, they are viewing it from those devices for different reasons.
Right.
Which is like the common thing that.
But you just proved my point of why I take responsive.
The common example that people always look into is a restaurant. If someone's viewing a restaurant from the web on their computer, they usually want to see like what your food looks like, what the menu is, and then go into reserve. Make a reservation and stuff like that, or they want to see, the whole venue. They want to see where you're located. Mm-hmm. When people are looking at it from the phone, they're either looking to change their reservation, call you to change their reservation, or I'm lost in the city. I need to know where you are. So you want to make an adaptive design that surfaces all of those items to the front for the person on the go, whereas when you're looking at it on the web, you're going to be like, hey, look at how pretty we are. Look at the big, great photography. And when they're on the go, you're going to flip that and be like, get all that shit out of the way. Here's where we are. We're at the corner of such and such. Call us.
Right.
And that's hard to do with responsive design because, for instance, in responsive design, when you put all that pretty up at the top, you usually have the details down at the bottom. So then you got to essentially flip the entire site in your responsive, and you can change pieces within a section, but you can't flip an entire design, and you can't flip a message. You can't flip the way that the whole website flows,
right,
and works with a responsive design. So that's why it's the stopgap that we use right now. It's the way of getting the most consistent message across all devices functionally. But if we're talking about strict philosophy, adaptive design is what you want to do. But
I'm talking about practical.
Strict philosophy does not work in the practical world.
Right. So again, wholeheartedly a fan, right? If I'm purchasing a program like this, like PageCloud, to have a responsive design, a responsive feature over an adaptive feature.
Yes.
And if you are going to give me adaptive, then don't give me just two. Don't just give me a desktop icon. Where's my mouse? Don't just give me a desktop icon and an iPhone. Give me a couple of sizes. And let me, because I'm obviously a control freak, right? If I want it to be adaptive, right? Because I'm a designer, right? I want to be able to say, this is what I want the tablet view to look like. This is what I want this size phone to look like. This is what I want this size phone to look like. That takes
to the point of overwhelming you, and that's against their philosophy. It's no longer simple if they give you more than two.
Oh, such a fine line. I feel like I need at least 4. Or, you know what? At least 3. Give me a tablet.
No.
Give me at least a tablet.
No. What I wish they would do is change that desktop icon to represent desktop and tablet so that you knew that the two were there and then that mobile was the outlier, like he said. I agree. For their program, that is a good philosophy to focus on those two, and it works for them. I just don't approve of that necessary approach to web design.
It doesn't work for me. I'm trying to give some context of why this would just not work for me.
It doesn't work for me, but I think it works for them.
Them who? Like
PageCloud, like as a service, as a company.
So you think that graphic design and marketers should have adaptive over responsive in this program?
No.
But you mean to have just the two options?
But I mean, if they're going to do the adaptive and they're going to focus on making this as simple as possible, this is the way to do it.
Gotcha. Just the two.
Mm-hmm.